bell has tolled for Mike Pence, no longer a candidate for Indiana governor, not the man who will stand beside Donald Trump from this point forward. No. He will seek now to become the second most powerful person in America and for the rest of his life have his fortunes tied to Donald Trump, win or lose. It didn't take long for the pundits and commentators from Indiana to react when it was announced that Pence was Trump's VP choice. Few on both sides of the political aisle spent little time, if any, ballyhooing his accomplishments, instead calling him the one-term governor who recklessly damaged the state with what some are still calling a discriminatory religious freedom bill, or the fact he could never answer the question on if it's okay to discriminate in Indiana. And don't ask conservatives about the Medicaid expansion bill he worked out with President Obama a couple of years ago, something they still haven't forgiven him for. The majority of those from Indiana can't wait to move him out, which begs the question, is this really good for Republican White House hopes in November? Get your phone calls ready, 1-877-Newsmax. Keep them on point. We got a lot to cover. Let's get busy with the Georgetown University professor, veteran Republican strategist Bradley Blakeman, joined by the former spokesman for President George W. Bush, veteran political strategist, and author of the book The War on Millennials, Pete Seat. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Before we get to the politics, Bradley, I have a pointed question for you. We are watching now the potential military coup that is going on in Turkey and potentially the deposement of President Erdogan there. This is a guy that has been funding ISIS for many years. Is it fair to say he's not a friend of the United States? And if we're going to look at this from a political standpoint, this maybe could be the best news that the United States is getting in a long time in the Middle East.
It also could be the worst. Erdogan has not been the best friend of the United States with the best intentions, but he's a NATO ally. We have obligations bilaterally. We also have obligations with a pact that we have with NATO. So this is not a very good development for it to have happen, not only to our president, but to our country and to our fellow NATO allies. If this thing degenerates, this could be just another country that has absolute chaos in a region that needs stability. So this is not good news for the United States at all. It's something I think that we have to focus like a laser beam on because of the strategy of having Turkey sit in the crossroads of Europe and Asia and at a very, very critical time in that area of the world. So I am just beside myself that this is happening at this time.
Cautiously watching it, as everybody should be in a situation like this, specifically when you get involved in the Middle East. All right, gentlemen, let's turn back to politics here. Here comes for you, Pete. Donald Trump made it official in a tweet this morning, pleased to announce he's chosen Governor Mike Pence as his vice presidential running mate. They did have a news conference scheduled. That was canceled simply because on Friday they had what was happening in Nice. But it has now been made official. But hang on a sec here, Pete. If you look at the views of these candidates on the major issues, we're talking about some real differences here. The TPP, Trump hates it, Pence likes it. The Iraq War, Trump hates it, Pence liked it. The temporary ban on Muslim immigration, Trump likes it, Pence opposed it. What does this tell us about these two men getting together and what kind of an odd couple pairing this will make?
It says that Donald Trump is maturing as a presidential candidate and that he's willing to bring outside voices who don't always just say, sir, yes, sir, to whatever he believes. This is a pivotal moment for Trump. Pence is the most well-rounded of the shortlist candidates that Trump was looking at, and I think he's the perfect pick for the reasons you just outlined. I always chuckled whenever someone said, oh, Trump advisors say X, Y, or Z, because at that point, the only Trump advisor was Donald Trump himself. But now it seems that there actually are advisors in that circle who are telling him what they think and offering advice, and he's actually listening to that advice, and I think that's a huge moment for him.
You agree with that, Bradley?
I do. I think the headline here is Pence makes sense. Donald Trump put out a job application saying that he needed somebody to help him govern. He needed somebody that had experience on the Hill. And he's got that with Pence, but he also has an executive who ran a state and had to make critical decisions. It has a $30 billion budget. It has almost 30,000 employees. He cut taxes, one of the lowest corporate tax rates in the country. And the fact that, and I agree with Pete, the fact that he's not in lockstep with Donald Trump is a comfort to me. And I think it's going to be a comfort to the party. He's a known commodity, and I think having him at the right hand of the president can only be seen as a plus.
Pete, let's go ahead and talk about some numbers here. rather perplexing when it comes to the polls. I love talking the numbers because they change constantly. First, a Quinnipiac poll this week put Donald Trump with a 3-point advantage in Florida and a 2-point edge in Pennsylvania. Excellent news for the Trump campaign. All right? Now, that was yesterday. Here's today. An NBC Marist and Wall Street Journal poll gives Hillary Clinton a 7-point lead in Florida, 9 points in Pennsylvania, showing ties between the candidates in Ohio. And Pete, here's something else. In that NBC Wall Street Journal Marist poll, it shows that in Ohio and Pennsylvania, Donald Trump got zero support from black voters in those two states. All right, Pete, now I'm going to leave it to you. Here comes your turn. Make sense of everything we just saw.
Good luck to me, right?
It's all on you, Pete. It's your turn.
Well, this is going to obviously be a volatile election cycle. The polls are going to go up. They're going to go down. I think Trump has closed the gap in a lot of states and overtaken Hillary in some over the past couple of weeks. One, because of Hillary Clinton's baggage with this email issue and the statements that the FBI director Comey made last week, but also because Trump has gotten a lot of good, positive media coverage out of this vice presidential search process. Quite frankly, I think it's the best 2 weeks of media coverage that he's gotten. And if he had the option, he would keep this going until Election Day because it's been pretty good for him.
All right, there you go. Keeps it going until Election Day. Bradley, I come to you. Everything changes with Donald Trump. It's what makes him the candidate that people want. So what does he got to do then to keep this thing rolling and at least keep these numbers in his favor? Got a long way to go.
Continue to be the outsider candidate. 2016 is the year of the outsider, clearly, and there's no more insider than Hillary Clinton making that distinction about who you can trust. Hillary has a deficit across the board on trust and likability, and you have to like somebody and trust somebody before you ever get to policy. She's been around for 30 years. Donald Trump is a fresh face, and also he's been right on national security, something that's dominating the news. He also has high approval ratings on the economy, and we know that traditionally Americans vote with their pocketbook. So I'm not too concerned with the polls in the moment. I will be concerned with the first polls we'll see after Labor Day.
All right, let's get a couple of comments in here. Andrea's in Southfield, Michigan. Andrea, you believe that Mike Pence is the best choice for Donald Trump's vice president. 30 seconds. Tell us why.
Yes, I do. And by the way, I'm an African-American female, so those polls that said zero, whatever. But anyway, and obviously I'm a Trump supporter. But I think Pence balances him out. I think Newt would have been his too big of personalities. And I think Christie, they would have tried to tear him up with a pending lawsuit. So I think Pence is excellent, and he's a Christian man. So he got somebody praying on his side, too.
There you go. Get right into Michigan right there and prove that the polls aren't always correct. Andrea, thanks so much. Dee is in Houston, Texas. Dee, you believe that Donald Trump is dangerous for America? I know we've heard this before. 30 seconds. Tell us why and be specific.
Well, because he is scaring people in America. And the new generation that is coming up, they don't know what to do. They're scared. They don't know if someone's coming to bomb us or whatever's going on. And then there's a lot of Christians, and Donald Trump says on national TV he has them to apologize for.
All right.
You know, he tried to go into the Bible. He couldn't even do the scripture correctly or whatever.
It is a lot of the things that we have heard from Donald Trump, and believe me, all this history is going to come back up when we get into the general election phase here and everybody starts to go after each other. Pete, real quickly, millennials here. We haven't talked about them. You're the expert on those. Where do the millennials go here right now? Are you going to tell us that they are thinking about going to Donald Trump? They will? Where are they?
Well, right now, I think a lot of millennials might sit this election out. What I've said...
That's dangerous, though, isn't that, for Donald Trump?
Well, it's dangerous for both Trump and for Hillary. I mean, millennials are attracted to ideas and driven by results. I've said that time and time again. And there need to be ideas on the table from either side. The people who put the ideas forward are going to get young people attracted to their cause. They're going to hear it out. Just look at Bernie Sanders. Pie in the sky ideas that have no chance of becoming reality, but young people listen to him because he was putting ideas forward. So if Trump has a chance to get young people, he's got to do the same.
Hey, I only have about 30 seconds here, Bradley. Last shot to you. The Republican National Convention, the committee, they are, according to Politico, begging people like Sheldon and Miriam Adelson to cover $6 million in costs. They had a lot of sponsors that basically said goodbye and they chucked out. Big problem?
Look, Sheldon and others are going to support the Republican cause. Sheldon is a Republican. Dr. Adelson is a Republican. And there's no doubt that when the chips are down, Sheldon is going to do what's in the best interest of the party. He's done it before. He'll do it again. And I have no fear that all sectors of our society, from the very wealthy to the people who are just getting by, will understand that it's in the best interest of our country to have fresh new leadership, and that's why I think Donald Trump will be appealing.
And remember, $6 million to a guy who's a billionaire? Drop in the bucket. Come on, that's not even a lottery winning.
It's got 6 hours worth.
Easy stuff. Pete, Seat, Bradley Blakeman, gentlemen, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. In light of Dallas and France, what's it like to be a cop in America right now? You're going to find out, because we are going to ask a top cop next on The Hardline.